everyone, this is Ali John Chaudhary, psychotherapist, and I am here today with Fern Schumer Chapman, author of Brothers, Sisters, Strangers, Sibling Estrangement, and The Road to Reconciliation. And today we have a very important episode on Brothers, Sisters, Strangers video podcast, because we're going to be doing an episode on practicing a goal-oriented life. So this is a continuation of Nathanial Branden's book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, in terms of tenet number 5. So practicing a goal-oriented life, Fern. What do you think about that?
So this is going to be a very practical episode on essentially how to get unstuck, which I have been getting a lot of comments from readers, and they all talk about how they're very, very stuck. Mm-hmm. One of the unfortunate aspects of sibling estrangement is that self-esteem is often a casualty of the experience. And rebuilding self-esteem takes a multi-pronged approach. And I think what we're going to talk about today is the beginning of it. But before we dive in, I want to talk about a few changes to the Brothers, Sisters, Strangers podcast. And the big one is that we are on a mission to become succinct, which means that we have 12 minutes to cover everything, and that's not easy to do. So, Ali John, I wish you a lot of luck on that.
Thank you so much, yes.
Well, I know you always have a lot of great research, and you want to cover everything, and you want to impart all this knowledge. And we don't want to tax our viewers. So hopefully this will give us a chance to improve our episodes. Brothers, Sisters, Strangers is a podcast that helps empower those who are cut off from siblings. We tackle all sorts of issues related to siblings and sibling estrangement. Please like the episode so that others can learn about what we're doing here, and subscribe to our channel and join our fabulous growing community.
Absolutely, and that's very good that you mentioned that. I think it's very important for us to try as much as possible to try to have succinct episodes. So we're going to be doing that today. So we're going to try to answer the question, how to get unstuck, right?
Right.
Because oftentimes with sibling estrangement, you know, we can get the feeling of being stuck and such, and sometimes we need to kind of build goals to help us get beyond our stuck feeling. And of course, you know, we do have the support group online that can be helpful for that as well. So if people want to go further, they can certainly do that. But today what we want to do is we want to share some of these ideas that can help people to essentially move forward, because there can be all sorts of different goals with regards to sibling estrangement, right? I mean, when we're setting a purpose for ourselves, we're trying to solve a problem. Sometimes we're trying to, improve relationships we have with other people that matter in our lives. It could be the idea of creating a new product, creating a family, studying. I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of setting goals. But particularly to sibling estrangement, I think that it's really important that we learn how to, of course, mourn the relationship. And that involves, as we said in one of our past episodes, regarding that, the idea of having internal adjustments, external adjustments, and spiritual adjustments as well. So
yeah, I think mourning is one of the most difficult aspects, because it means that you can no longer fantasize, and you want to stop the rumination, and you need to accept that this is the reality, and the brain just resists that.
Yep. And that's the thing. I think that that's really, really important to recognize that in terms of where we can get stuck potentially. It could be with regards to wanting to strengthen our boundaries, for example, practicing self-assertiveness, practicing non-judgment, trying to live our truth without the fear of judgment, learning to balance our feelings in a rational way, practicing self-compassion. I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of goals that people can have for themselves, right? And the thing that's important to remember here is that goals don't just manifest on their own. And, we really need to work on them actively to drive them forward, to make them real in our lives through productivity, right? Because self-esteem, is daring to make our thoughts into reality, right? And yeah. It's just like the book you wrote, right? The book started off as an idea, but you made it real when you came out with it.
Yeah, very real.
Yeah. And there were many steps towards that, and perhaps, you had to go back and forth on some things, correct your trajectory as with anything,
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's this great, I always think of Eleanor Roosevelt, who talked to Franklin about when he wanted to run for presidency again, and he was very nervous and didn't really want to do it. And she said, you must look fear in the face. You must do the thing you think you cannot do.
Mhm.
And that's absolutely what I did try to do with Brothers, Sisters, Strangers, the book. And I think it's also some of what you have to tackle in sibling estrangement and setting goals for it. What is the thing you think you cannot do?
Absolutely, because a lot of these goals, they don't just happen on their own. And, it's good to think about how we want to be effective in that way, right? And to be as specific as possible is really, really important with regards to that. And to really observe our progress through action steps, So it's good to take in new information as well, right? We want to take in new information and to practice self-responsibility towards the influence that can generate the results that we hope to produce. So it's all about self-esteem.
And I think that I know that you're about to get into writing down these goals. And I'm a really big advocate of using pen and paper to try to process.
Yeah.
And of course, I've talked in the past about processing emotion through writing. But in this case, I think we're switching it up a little bit and talking about goals and setting goals through writing.
Absolutely. And I think that that's really important. That's the major difference in terms of just free flow writing versus fixating on one or on some points, especially, So, what's really, really important is to recognize that the notion of self-discipline and all of this as well, but goal formulation especially, is all about recognizing, like, where do we want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years from now, right? So,
Right.
What does my professional life look like? How how should my personal relationships be? Who do I want out of my life? Who do I want in my life? And how can I best compose with people when they're not in my life? So there can be all sorts of different goals that you can set, but it's important to really help to define that and to be clear about what it is that you want in terms of goals. So that's
And the goals might be very different for the estranger versus the estrangee.
Yep.
So, somebody who's trying to maintain distance may have to set clear boundaries. Somebody who's trying to reconcile would have a completely different set of goals.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main things as well in that is that, your goals will be according to your own situation. And if your situation changes, then your goals may potentially modify themselves as well. So necessary action is really what the author talks about in his book as well, with regards to what actions get me from A to B, for example. How do I obtain new knowledge and resources, So if you're listening to video podcasts, for example, that help you to understand what's going on, getting more information about that, empowering yourself, can I break it down into a step-by-step process in that way? So that really is important to define in some ways as much as possible what that can look like, So
The big one, Ollie John, for me is what gets me off track.
Yeah.
So really being mindful of what is a trigger, and when I've got my eye on the goal and when I have been derailed.
Yep, exactly. So that's really important because you can learn from both scenarios. You can learn from if your goal is realizing itself, then that's great. You can learn from that. You can learn to do more of that. If your goal is not realizing itself, then you can learn from that experience also and trying to pinpoint where it started to go haywire, so to speak, or faulty. So really recognizing that it's all about self-improvement, and that's really, really important. So and that's a good point you're making, because sometimes we can get distracted or pulled away, right, from our goals. So are my priorities shifting? Are they reordering themselves? So all of that is very important.
When you said, are my goals shifting? I read an article some time ago that what you wanted at 20 is absolutely what you don't want anymore at 30. And what you wanted at 30 is not what you wanted at 40. So these things change. And this is a good way to keep track of that.
Absolutely. So I think that that's good to really be clear about that and to recognize that is key. So am I still focused? And sometimes I need to reaffirm or rethink my goals as well, in terms of my motivation and such, finding out what is really helpful for that with regards to just, clearing that up and such, one of the most important questions I find in goal setting is really, is it working? Am I closer to my goals now? Are my actions giving results? I think those are really important questions to keep in mind.
I think too, when it's on the page, it's very black and white. It gives you a sense of clarity that
Yep.
you don't have when it's running around your brain.
Yep.
So there's great value in putting it on a piece of paper and being able to go back and look at it.
I agree. So, I think that we're already nearing the end of our session for today, so just a few takeaways in terms of what's really important. And if people want to go and explore this in Nathanial Branden's book, they're welcome to do so. Generally, general takeaways are purposefulness is better than aimlessness. You need to be very clear about what you want for yourself, and internally generated practices give us the gift of achievement. So that's really important. It starts from the inside, but you bring it outwards in that way through practical aspects, practical actions. And, achievement can demonstrate high self-esteem, but we need to recognize that there's sometimes with some people, there can be a flight response, they can get lost in something to avoid doing what they really need to do, So there's that as well, and
Yes, that's a very dangerous thing.
yeah, and it's
When
okay
you
to take a
use
break.
Yeah, when you use some habit, like some people use running to distract themselves from emotional issues.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's good parts to it, but you got to be sure that you're not using it as a way to avoid certain things. So, taking a break is okay as well if you need to, to reaffirm, reassess where you want to be. And most of all, balancing living in the present with preparing for the future, I think is really key here. So, yeah, so that's important. So, as a final question for our viewers, I think it's a really good question to ask. Can we live a life based on self-expression rather than self-justification? And that's a really good question to ask ourselves. Whenever we fall into patterns of judgment or whatnot, am I fighting to justify myself, or am I fighting to basically just bring out the best in me that's already there?
Well, and when it comes to sibling estrangement, judgment is often what's underneath the experience.
Yeah.
People cut off because they feel judged.
Absolutely. So I'm mindful of the time, Fern, so we're going to be stopping here for now, but perhaps we can let our readers and our viewers know, of course, some of the resources we have with regards to that. So if you want, you can share.
Well, of course, there's the book, Brothers, Sisters, Strangers, Sibling Estrangement, and the Road to Reconciliation. And I also write a 3 times a month blog for psychologytoday.com called Brothers, Sisters, Strangers.
Yeah. And there is, of course, the Sibling Estrangement Support Group on Zoom that we do twice monthly now. It's going well. Of course, there's the Sibling Estrangement Sharing Coping Connecting Facebook page. So you can look that up. It's a thriving community of like-minded people that would be helpful to have people basically talk about their issues in a non-judgmental type of environment and such, and to get support especially. And of course, I do invite our viewers, of course, to subscribe and like our page, our Facebook page, but also, of course, our YouTube videos. It always helps to get the word out. When you do subscribe, when you do like what you see and perhaps share some of the videos, that is very important to all of us to get the word out on sibling estrangement.
Well, I'm just so pleased and proud of the fact that we have created this hub of resources and information. And it's always great to be with you, Ollie John.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this again, Fern, and we'll talk again very soon.
Okay, I look forward to it.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.